Beforehand, I didn't really write anything down. I didn't have anything organised. Everything was in my head. I ran the business myself, so I was basically the only person in charge of organising everything. So no idea on my break-even points, no idea on no targets and goals and things like that, and no realisation as to how important they were. I suppose, I thought I was wasting my time putting effort into them. So now I know what my numbers are. I know what I'm aiming for. I've got targets and goals set. Why I need to get a certain amount of work completed each week to make a profit and cover my overheads. Because previously, knowing what my margin should be compared to just making up a number, so that I can actually aim to work for a profit, not just have aimlessly making money or think I'm making money, but not actually having any money come in. I basically beforehand took on basically anything that I got a phone call about, got inquired about. So any job that any client that came to me, I would take the job on, do the quote. Quite often I'd do the quote even if I didn't want to get the job, which was a massive waste of time. Some of them were quite big jobs that I'd put in, might be 20, 30 hours into a quote that I didn't actually even want to get the job. So then I'd never even chase it up after that, which I just thought, doing the right thing by giving them a quote. So now, focusing on who I want to work for, what jobs I want to do. I've got a list of sort of criteria that I need to fill. So it doesn't have to be exactly that person, but if I'm feeling sort of, 75% of my list, I'm quite happy. And sort of aiming specifically at jobs that I want, that I know we can be profitable on, putting the work into focus on specific jobs, talking to the clients, qualifying them to make sure they're the right client for me. The biggest one would be, I suppose, the mindset, but to go with that, the default diary. I think having that set each week with, I've got a list of tasks that I need to complete and need to be focusing on, things that need to get done weekly or monthly or daily, scheduled in so I don't skip those by, focusing on something else that takes my attention. So, constant reminders throughout the day to do this task, do that task, and it's set each week so I can have a routine, keep it regular, and keep using that. And then probably the other one would be project management, like quoting software and job management software. Beforehand, I did it through Excel. It worked well, but not great. And then I had to relay information back to staff, back to clients, and do separate emails, a lot of different redoing things, which I let slip a lot because it was so much work. So I wouldn't bother keeping that information properly. So this is definitely sped up communication on site, sped up more contact points with clients. That's big. At the start, I didn't think I'd have the money to hire staff, mainly because I didn't, because it wasn't in the budget, didn't have the profit. So setting up cash flow forecasting with you guys was amazing, which let me see ahead to see, yes, I can afford to hire a site supervisor, bigger team, more apprentices, things like that, knowing that I'd have the funds to pay them in the future by being able to see forward for that. So then that's let me delegate more tasks, focusing on the business itself rather than, working on site or working on the tools. Sort of not wasting my time where it shouldn't be. The team's growing. I plan to grow more, work on that towards the future, and just adjusting the team and how the organisation works between everyone. Beforehand, I suppose I didn't really understand what a profit and loss statement was. I just palm it all off to the accountant and get them to look through and deal with it. And I had no idea. I didn't think it was important. So now, knowing my cost of goods, knowing my I suppose, cost of acquisition, all the what's coming in, what's coming out, conversion ratios, all that sort of thing, knowing what I need to be turning over each week, all those numbers. Well, they're basically the scoreboard. I wasn't keeping the score before, so playing a game with no scoreboard, and so it's been definitely easier. I suppose it took me a while to comprehend how important it was. So I put a lot of work into it at the start, and then dropped off a bit, and then put a bit more work into it. And it took a while to realise that all these things sort of line up and actually really come together in the end, and sort of add up to a very important part of the business.